What's up, YouTube? Your boy back once again with another sport topic, and today we're going to talk some football. Houston Texans football. Today we're going to do something a little bit differently, because today I want to break down, man, it's time. It's time for the Texans to go ahead and move on. It's time for the Texans to finally pull their trigger on the trade and move on from Deshaun Watson. Get what you can get for him and start this rebuild process. Reason I'm saying this is because we're getting deeper into the season. We're about to enter week 4. And I think the teams might start wanting to make a push as far as the team getting desperate. They might be on the verge of making the playoff push. And since Deshaun has not been suspended or put on the exempt list as of yet, I kind of believe, I think the moment he will be put on the team, he probably would be put on the exempt list at the very least. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't think, who knows what will happen. But that's just my personal opinion. But teams who might be close to making the playoff push, or somebody who just want to generate a buzz to their team. Now, like I said, Deshaun Watson does have a no trade clause, so he can nix a trade and deny a trade if he doesn't want to go there. So a lot of things are moving parts. So what I want to do is I came up with some scenarios, a couple teams who I think would definitely more likely try to trade for Deshaun, and I wanted to tell you exactly what they would give, why they would give up some of these assets, because it's not just picks, it's some certain assets, and there's reason behind all the assets that they'll give up, and also why Deshaun would want to go there and why he would waive his no trade clause to go and play for this organization. So I'm gonna talk about some of the trade scenarios. So the first team, now I'm gonna preface this one is because this team right now is 3-0. So they might not even be looking at this trade, but they were very in the talks going into the season about making this trade, and they still might potentially make it because they might not believe too much in their quarterback, and that's the Denver Broncos. So I have the Denver Broncos will get Deshaun Watson, and in return the Houston Texans will get the Denver Broncos 2022 and 2022 first and second, the 2023 first and second, wide receiver Cortland Sutton, and also cornerback Patrick Surtain. Now, I'm not going to lie, I have an asterisk by the Patrick Surtain because I don't know exactly if they would give him up. I just know earlier during the offseason when trade talks was mentioned about the Denver Broncos, Patrick Surtain's name was thrown into the mix. But I'm not really confident in their whole Patrick Surtain. I'm not really confident that they would give up Patrick Surtain, but I'm putting it in there just in case. Cortland Sutton, I think they'll definitely give him up. No, we're going to talk about the picks first. Really, those are just standard picks. 2 firsts, 2 seconds. I mean, most teams are thinking about giving up. I mean, the Texans are rumored to want at least 3 firsts and 2 seconds, or 3 firsts and 2 seconds in a player, 3 firsts, 3 seconds, something like that. Like, they want something to that nature. So it's the 2 and 2, and wide receiver Cortland Sutton. Now, the reason why I think they would give up wide receiver Cortland Sutton is because he's due a contract. And I don't know if they're going to be willing to pay him. And then you got to think about it. They'll be getting Deshaun Watson, who's going to be due $40+ million for the next 4 years. Cortland was a second-round pick. He wasn't. So he doesn't have a 50 option, and this is his 4th year, which means he's going to be a free agent. So they might end up losing him or have to pay him. And so, okay, that's kind of like a salary dump in the NFL. Okay, we're not really going to read him up. We're not going to really pay him, and we do have Jerry Jeudy, even though he's hurt right now. We do have KJ Hollister. We do have Holloman. You do have Noah Fant. You still have some of these other pieces. So Cortland is expendable because those guys are still in their rookie contract. Jeudy and Holloman are both in their 2nd year. So you do have them for the next 2 years. And Jeudy, you have him at least for 3 because you have a 50 option on Jerry Jeudy. So I think that would move. Now, the Patrick Surtain, I think it's more so because they're not going to be willing to give up an extra pick because they're not one of these teams who made trades early on in the past couple of years and have an additional first-round pick just lying around. So they would have to give up 2024 first. And that's pushing it 3 years into the future. Most teams want to hurry up and get this over with now when it comes to those draft picks. Get that bleeding over with now. Yeah, we get Deshaun Watson and we'll give you the picks and we get rid of this. But we only have to deal with not having picks in the first 2 rounds for the next 2 years versus doing that for the next 3 years. Us in Houston know how that feels not to have a first or second round pick for multiple years. So I think that's the reason why. So like I said, they probably really wouldn't want to give up Surtain. Like I'm being honest, I'm not real confident in that. That's kind of slightly wishful thinking, like I said. But the reason why I did put him on this because he was mentioned in the trade talks, potential trade package earlier this offseason. So I just go ahead and threw him in. Now, Deshaun Watson factor. Would Deshaun Watson want to go to Denver? According to Kareem Jackson, that's where he wants to go. According, if you believe what Kareem Jackson said on the Keep Sleeves podcast earlier this offseason, that's where he wants to go, apparently. But I think this is me actually as a football fan. Take my Houston Texans fan them out, but just to be actual football fan. You know how good that division would be? Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Justin Herbert, and then the way Derek Carr's playing right now. Derek Carr's playing the best football of all of them right now. That division would be complete lit. And I think that kind of thing would entice Deshaun Watson. Not to mention they have the pieces. They do have Noah Fant. They do have Jared Judy Holloman. They do have Melvin Gordon running the football. They have a legitimate defense. Now the Broncos might not want to do this because they're 3-0 right now, and they probably want to roll with Teddy Bridgewater. But are they really confident that Teddy Bridgewater can really compete up against Patrick Mahomes, Herbert, and then, like I said, the way that Derek Carr is playing? They might get to this trade deadline like, hey, we might need to pull this trick. We might need to, John Elway did step down. They might want to say, you know what, it's time for us to pull a power play. Let's stop pussyfooting around. Let's pull a power play. So who knows? Like I say, I'm not 100% confident in that trade anyway, just because of the situation that Denver's in, because they started off 3-0, so that kind of throws a monkey wrench into the situation. Now the next couple teams I have, I'm very confident in their interest, or should be interest, in Deshaun Watson. So it's a lot of moving parts. Denver maybe not be as interested as they once was because of the way they started off. And also, I don't think they're really willing to give up Surtain. So that's it. So now I'm really confident in the next picks. All right, now the next trade is the New York Giants. The New York Football Giants will get quarterback Deshaun Watson, and in return, the Giants will give up 2022's first round pick, Chicago's 2022 first round pick, New York's 2022 third round pick, and New York's 2023 second round pick, and also running back Saquon Barkley. Now, I know the thing that grabs everybody's attention is Saquon, the name. We're going to put a pin in that. I'm going to explain some of the picks. Okay, so the Giants are one of those teams who have the Giants are one of those teams that have extra first round pick laying around because they have the Chicago's pick because the Justin Fields trade. So they have their first round pick in 2022. They have Chicago's pick in 2022. And I forgot to mention also they will give up their first and second the next year. So they will give you 3 ones, 2 this year, 1 next year. They'll give you a third, and they'll give you a 2. Now, that right there will be them. Now, when it comes to Saquon Barkley, I actually 100% think that the Giants will have no problem parting away with Saquon Barkley. I know people are like, why would they want to give up Saquon? They don't want to give up Saquon. Yes, they will. 1, the injury concerns. 2, just like I said about Courtland Sutton, they don't want to pay him. Now, the thing is, the difference with him is that he still has another year left on his deal because he was a first-round pick, so he does have a 5th-year option. But they don't want to pay him. And just like I said about Denver, you be adding on a quarterback that you're going to be giving $40 million to for the next couple of years, $40 million plus for the next couple of years. You're not going to be able to fit all that in the salary. Now, it's kind of like the David Johnson's move a couple years, kind of like David Johnson move when you trade Hopkins and get back David Johnson. That one thing is different. You're getting also multiple firsts and seconds. So it's a little bit different. Also, I think that Saquon has a little bit more tread left on the tires than David Johnson. Not to mention, in all considered, if everything was equal, both of them at their peak, Saquon's a better running back. So because Saquon does have a little bit tread on his tires, and because you don't have to make a decision on him right now, like you still have the 5th-year option. You don't have to make a decision on the end of the season. You still have the 5th-year option and potential franchise tag, whatever. And because Saquon has kind of a name. Saquon has a name, he's a top fantasy player. Like people driving the fantasy all the time. He's a guy who can sell jerseys and merchandise. That's the reason why the Giants, instead of giving y'all 2 seconds, I'm gonna give y'all a third. So I'm gonna keep one of my seconds and give y'all a third. I give you everything else you asked for, the 3 firsts. You get a second. I'm gonna get a third because I'm gonna give you a player who is still productive, even though he has an injury concern, and even though we don't want to pay him. That's really the main thing. They really don't want to pay him because of the injury, the injuries he got a couple years ago, and also them be getting a quarterback who they're gonna be paying $40 million to. But so you got it's kind of like a give or take. He got a little bit more tread on the tires than most salary dumps, because it's like an NBA salary dump type situation. So he got a little bit more tread on the tires, but still we gonna take something back. So instead of giving y'all a second, we gonna give y'all a third just to make it relatively even. And I think the Texans will take that, okay, because he's a guy who maybe we can groom with, and maybe we get a quarterback with all these picks. Maybe draft a quarterback. We have a running back that we could possibly salvage a little bit. You know, see, they got reclamation projects all the time with David Johnson, Philip Lindsay, and Mark Ingram. So and Rex Burkhead. So they're trying to reform everybody's career anyway. I think at least give me somebody that has some real good talent, and add to the equation. And do the Giants really want Deshaun Watson? Yes, they do. They're 0-3. It's New York. They need to make some type of headline, good or bad. You know, the whole thing, all press, all publicity is good publicity as long as you spell the name right. That's the type of situation the Giants are in. They don't care if they will bring. They've been writing articles. Women columnists have been writing articles, not just men. Women columnists have been writing articles talking about the only person who can save the Giants right now is Deshaun Watson. They are fiending for a quarterback, for a player like that had a star in New York. And would Deshaun want to go play in New York? Yes. I know some person out there, Trill. I'm looking right at you. I know you don't want him in New York. Deshaun wants to go to New York. Deshaun has no problem going to New York. Why? It's once the largest city in the United States. It's the biggest market. It's the second best franchise in that state. I mean, obviously, the biggest franchise in the state of New York is going to be the Yankees. But the Giants are better. The Giants are more recognized and better than the Mets, the Nets, the Knicks, and the Jets. Unlike the Texans, who is probably the third best franchise in their own city behind the Astros and the Rockets, and damn sure ain't the best notable franchise in the state when you got the Dallas Cowboys. Shit, they're not even really the best when it comes to sports period, because I think not only the San Antonio Spurs, they got 5 rings. UT and Texas A&M is probably more recognizable than the Houston Texans, to be honest with you. So, and that he does have that situation going on in New York. All the media is at his fingertips. He could live that type of lifestyle. And don't, again, like how I said about him going to Denver, and the matchups with the Chargers and the Chiefs and the Raiders with those quarterbacks, kind of the same thing in the NFC East. You got Dak Prescott. You're going to be going head-to-head. It's going to be a quarterback battle between Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott. You don't think the NFL going to eat this up? Especially with being the New York Giants. How many primetime games the Giants get in T-Way? Let alone how many primetime games they're going to get with a quarterback like Deshaun. And let's talk about money. Let's talk about endorsements, because Deshaun's hurt right now. He lost all the endorsements because of the whole legal situation. I understand that. I think if he goes somewhere and plays well, he would get those endorsements back. If he goes to New York, plays well, let alone win, he would 10 times those endorsements. You know why? Because he's in New York. Point blank, period. He will double all those endorsement deals if he like that. If he goes to New York and balls, and he will have weapons. He will have Kenny Galladay. They have Shepard. Don't they have Ingram and Titan? Like they have pieces offensively with or without Saquon. Now they would need to help fix the offensive line. I understand all that. The defense is not terrible. Deshaun could win in New York. He could definitely win in New York. It'll be a better situation than it is here in Houston. And it's probably a better situation than the team I'm about to name. The team I'm about to name. But like I said, yes, Deshaun Watson, I think Deshaun Watson clearly will go to New York. I mean, I think Deshaun Watson would waive his no trade clause gladly and go to New York. Now, the number one team, I ain't gonna lie to you, I think this trade, in my personal opinion, is probably the best trade for us as the Texans. And it's also the team that Deshaun is heavily rumored to want to go to the most. And that's the Miami Dolphins. But this trade's a little bit different, because this one, the Dolphins are not just getting Deshaun Watson. The Miami Dolphins are getting quarterback Deshaun Watson, and they will also get tight end Jordan Akins. The Houston Texans will get the San Francisco 2022 first round pick. They will get Miami's 2022 second round pick. They will get Miami's 2023 first and second round pick. And they will get San Francisco's 2023 first round pick. That's 3 firsts, 2 seconds. They also will get tight end Mike Gesicki. And they also will get cornerback Noah. I'm not even going to pronounce his last name. It's a long name. The rookie, he's not a rookie. They drafted him last year from Auburn. That's the package. That right there, I think, they would definitely will. I think Miami's definitely willing to give up all those picks off top. The reason why I'm adding the tight end Gesicki because they're going to be getting back Jordan Akins. Gesicki is not even Miami's starting tight end. So I think Jordan Akins can fill that slot about receiving tight end, placing somebody that has a chemistry and has a relationship with Deshaun. Deshaun would like that. That'd be one of Deshaun's targets. Not only like how you got Will Fuller down there in Miami, so it's kind of an even swap. And I think Noah is kind of just a filler because the thing is about Noah, as of I see right now, it doesn't seem like the Dolphins really utilizing that much. They got Byron Jones, they got Xavier Howard. I know a lot of people want Xavier Howard. I think I would take a flyer on Noah. I wasn't really high coming on him out the draft last year anyway, but he's a young corner. He's only played 1 year and 3 games, so he's a younger corner. So I definitely think that that's somebody that you could probably pair up, maybe draft a corner next year. Maybe if you bring in Stingley or something like that from LSU, if you're able to get that, or get a Hamilton out of Notre Dame, the safety, pair him up with Justin Reed and him. So I mean, you could do a couple things. I think Gesicki could fit in that role because we don't really have a full-fledged starting tight end. Like, I mean, I know we were hype about Farrell Brown coming to the training camp and during the preseason, but it's remaining to be seen. I know some of that has to do with the lack of quarterback play, but still. But like I said, the first round picks, the second round picks, those are things I think Miami would definitely be willing to give up. I think Miami would enjoy having Jordan Akins and Deshaun Watson, and I think the Texans would benefit from having Gesicki and also having a young corner who they could possibly use and groom and put in place, especially since you traded Ropey. Will Deshaun go to Miami? I mean, according to everybody, that's the only place he wants to go. So I think he will go there with open arms. He definitely waive his no trade clause. Why would Miami do this? Because Miami is looking at staring down 1-4 in the face. Like, let's be real. A team that had these players, a team that won 10 games last year between Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick, beat the Patriots in Week 1 barely beat Matt Jones in Week 1. It have not looked the same ever since. Now I know Tua got hurt. And I know that you got Jacoby Brissett in right now, but they are a team, and that's part of the reason. They're a team I feel like that's desperate. They're a team I feel like desperate. Now I know I didn't include Matt Jones in the Giants trade, and I didn't include Tua in this Miami trade. I don't think that Nick Casario or me rather will even want either. No, now I know I wouldn't want neither one of them, and I don't think that Nick Casario would. Nick Casario maybe won't match. Maybe will take a Danny Dimes, but I don't think he would. I don't think he. He might. I can see him taking Danny over taking Tua. To be honest with you, I can see that, but I really don't think he wants either one of them. I think he wants to draft somebody to put his own personal stamp of approval on it. So I don't think he really want to take on somebody else's former quarterback as of right now. And maybe if he could find somebody via free agency and sign a big contract too, kind of like how the Texans got Matt Schaub back in the day, something like on those lines, maybe. But I don't think that he wants to trade for those young guys like that. I just don't. I could be wrong, but I just don't. But I definitely think that. I think Deshaun would definitely want to go there. And I think this deal goes good for both sides. Like I said, Miami's in a situation that they're probably sitting there having long, hard talks with each other. The general manager, the head coach Flores, the owner are sitting there having real long talks. So do we want to pull this trigger? Because Deshaun has not been suspended yet. He's not on the exempt list. What's the holdup? And I believe that's the reason why Texans haven't. Because I know the rumor is, okay, if the Texans will force Deshaun Watson to play, he will fake an injury. Okay, cool. Because if he fakes an injury, you put him on injury reserve, and you open up a roster spot. That helps you out. You're going to pay him either way it goes, so you might as well open up a roster spot. But if they do that, if they put him on injury reserve, they won't be able to trade him because he will have to be on injury reserve at least for 3 weeks. And by the time the injury reserve list goes out, I think it'll be right at the trade deadline. Not to mention, you want to keep those lines open just in case somebody makes a call. You don't want them to make that call and be like, well, damn, I just put him on injury reserve yesterday. I can't do nothing now. You're going to have to wait 3 weeks. And then even if the trade deadline 3 weeks, who'd say that team doesn't find a solution in between their time, in between time. So, and they have it roll with, kind of like how the Broncos got Teddy Bridgewater, and I feel like they kind of comfortable rolling with Teddy. But who knows? Who knows what kind of conversation happened? Who knows if in 3 weeks they go from being 3-0 to losing 3 straight. Now they 3-3, and like, our offense looking up. We need somebody who can push the ball downfield type situation. So who knows? Like I said, New York, they're desperate for a star. That's really what it is. New York is desperate for a star. They're desperate for a splash. This would be the power splash play. In Miami, they want to get back to that conversation that they thought they were going to be in about the playoffs. Because as it's looking right now, they're not going to be in the playoffs, and they don't even have the control of their pick because the Philadelphia Eagles do. The Philadelphia Eagles can fool around and have 3 picks in the top 10, 2 of them top 5, and neither one of those 2 are theirs. Because I think last night, they had them having the 3rd and the 5th pick. The 3rd pick was from Miami, and the 3rd pick was from the Colts, and the 5th pick was from Miami. Like that's a situation that they could potentially be in. So Miami, like, we don't even have control of our pick. We don't want to let our season waste, and we can't even do anything. Yeah, we got the 49ers pick, but damn, we can't even do nothing. So they could be in a situation that's desperate. Hey, do we pull the plug? Even if he gets over, he gets traded. I mean, and we trade for him. We get put on the exempt list. That might be a risk you might want to take. And I believe that's the reason why the Texans, like I said, have not put him on injury reserve or forced him to fake injury so they can't put him on injury reserve because they want to keep those lines open for a potential trade. I think when the trade deadline comes and goes, if Deshaun Watson's still in the roster, which FY I kind of believe he would still be, I don't think he's going to get moved into the offseason, just my personal opinion. If he's still on the roster by the time the trade deadline, I think you'll probably see a move by the Texans as far as putting him on injury reserve for the rest of the year. Because I think that's kind of what they've been waiting on. They just want to keep their line open just in case somebody makes the phone call. They actually can really pick it up. Because all the reports that teams are making calls and the Texans have been shutting them down, I just think that's all cap. I just think that's just people out there, all these sports writers and all these columnists and these talking heads on TV and radio analysts and all these people just throwing stuff at the wall because I think nobody really knows. Nobody really knows because it's an unprecedented situation. So those are my draft picks. Those are my trades. I know a lot of people like, you crazy. That ain't going to happen. Hey, like, share, subscribe, comment below. Let me know what y'all think. I'll holla.